Konferensi tingkat tinggi G20 menghidupkan kembali perekonomian Bali setelah 2 tahun bak mati suri akibat disrupsi pandemi COVID-19. Momentum internasional itu menjadi titik terang pemulihan ekonomi di Bali dengan proyeksi pertumbuhan ekonomi yang signifikan mencapai 10% pada kuartal 4 2022. Selain itu, Bali juga mendapatkan manfaat infrastruktur lewat pemerintah pusat yang menggelontorkan dana mencapai 526,54 miliar rupiah guna memperindah kawasan terkonsentrasi seperti Nusa Dua, Sanur, dan Ubud. Sebagai destinasi wisata internasional, Bali selalu menjadi magnet bagi masyarakat dunia. Ini memacu kebutuhan properti sebagai salah satu pendukung utamanya yang terus meningkat dari waktu ke waktu. Iklim usaha properti pun terus meningkat seiring kedatangan wisatawan mancanegara ke Pulau Dewata yang kian bertambah.
Industri pariwisata di Bali sepertinya semakin menggeliat ya. Karena ya COVID juga kelihatannya juga semakin berlalu dan juga ada ajang G20 yang berlangsung di Bali. Jumlah pengunjung dan wisatawan pun tampaknya semakin meningkat. Tentu kita harapkan tren ini akan semakin lama semakin ya berlarut sehingga industri pariwisata di Indonesia juga semakin maju. Tapi apa kira-kira peluang bagi para pebisnis khususnya yang berkecimpung di industri turisme di Bali? Insight with Desi Anwar saat ini berada di Ubud di K Club dan saya berbicara dengan Alban Kibarer, developer dari Kibarer Properti. Hello, salut Alban, apa kabar?
I'm good, and you?
Yes, tapi happy ya melihat Bali seperti ini.
Yes, we enjoy the weather of Bali today, and everything is good here.
Yeah, and you can feel that things are moving. Life is coming back to Bali, especially we're in the middle of the G20 summit. Can you feel the excitement, the buzz, and the whole world looking at Bali?
Yes, we really feel it because it's not now we are exactly in the middle of the event, but it's been already a few months. We see a lot of people coming and going. Yourself have been moderating, I think, a lot of discussion. So after the COVID time where nobody could come and it was the road were dead, actually, the funny part of, I mean, funny or not funny, the way we can really see how Bali is buzzing is from the road. From 2 years, nobody on the road, to now it's we come back to the old traffic, the macet. Yeah.
So there's a good problem.
Look, we enjoy Bali in a way when it was empty because we could see Bali when it was like 20 years ago. And after a while, it was a bit stressing because we wanted people to come back. But now I can say, as a business owner, I will never complain about the traffic anymore.
And it's picking up, for example. I mean, I see a lot of people in Bali, obviously. Are hotels beginning to fill up? Restaurants? Are things back to they were pre-pandemic? Or is there still room for a lot of growth?
I would say, I think it's, for my side, K Club Ubud, we started during the pandemic, so it's difficult for us to compare. But when we talk with the competition, because we are like a group in Ubud, I think everybody came back already with a number from pre-COVID. And the good news is I think there's a big room to even get more people to come.
Yeah, and of course during COVID there was a lot of layoffs. You know, hotels and restaurants, they were like completely empty, no visitors, so no, basically there was a lot of reduction in employees. But you see that the employment's beginning to pick up again in Bali, or is it, you know, still not 100% yet?
So again, from my side, since we were lucky for our own property because since we started during the COVID, and like you just said, a lot of people has been fired or laid off. So we had the chance to hire a lot of nice people because they didn't have, they couldn't get any job. So for our side, we already hired during the COVID. Now for the competition, a lot of people, a lot of hotels closed down, and I think it should be a big challenge for them since few months, because they need to hire back the people, and they need to train them again.
And it's not easy to do that.
It's not easy at all, because in the hospitality, what makes the property different is the people working inside. It's not only the property. So I think it's a big challenge for everybody, but I think we will not complain. Better to have this issue that we don't have enough labor than complaining that there is no tourists.
But I mean, Bali, for a long time now, Alban, as you know, I mean, that's why you invest here in Bali. It's been always on top of the global tourist destination. And I just, so what's so, well, we in Indonesia, obviously, we come here and we love the place. It's part of our country. As a matter of fact, now we complain that people know about Bali more than they do about Indonesia. But what do you think is the mystique about Bali? And has perception changed over the years about how people, especially in the Western world, view Bali as a tourist destination?
So it's a very interesting question. I would say number one, and it's the people. The Balinese people are special, and it's, I'm here since 14 years, and I keep hearing, oh, this island is a new Bali, this island is a new Bali. They won't be new Bali. That's I can guarantee that. There will be also successful island for sure, but the way Bali grew is quite kind of unique. Myself, when I arrived here, I was thinking Bali was a country at the beginning from my. So yeah, the first time I came here, I couldn't place Bali on the map, and I couldn't locate Bali. And yes, I learned about it prior coming here, and what makes Bali special, I really believe, is the landscape, which is quite unique. There is the sea, there is the greenery,
the paddy terraces.
Yeah, but there is also a lot of islands around the world which offer this kind of similarities. But the culture, the people, and I don't know, the uniqueness of energy. It's especially in Ubud. If we talk about Ubud, there is some special spot in Bali we cannot explain. But when we come, and most of the tourists, myself included, when we come here, we feel good.
Why? Is this the energy, or is it a place where you can feel that you can relax? I mean, there's so many, Maldives, for example, there's so many places, like you said, with beaches, with, beautiful, but what is it about Bali? I mean, we've seen that film, Eat, Pray, Love, where she comes here to find herself and, do a little bit of self-searching and meditation. Is this something that is appealing?
I don't know if I can really express it, but the energy is from the culture and their religion. If you go to special religion space, you can go to Vatican or to Mecca, or to where there is a lot of people believing on something and praying for it, the energy is different. And I think Bali, since the whole population praying every day for everything, this is part of their culture, I really believe it brings different energy, and it brings all the spirituality that a lot of people are looking for.
So this is something that's attractive to international visitors. I mean, this is also a place where the playground of the rich and famous, David Bowie, Angelina Jolie, and recently John Legend, and they've all been here, right?
A lot of them are being here, and I think also what is attractive is because there is something we cannot explain. As you just we try to put words, we try to understand why Bali, because again, there is so many other nice places around the world, but Bali has something special that we all try to explain. I give my opinion, my honest opinion. I really believe it's because of the energy, but the people, again, I think really the people make the difference compared to many different places.
And also the important thing about hospitality is, the service, the way that, they feel welcome, and also because there's the language, Bali feels international in that aspect. Can you see it sort of improving over the years? Is Bali sophisticated not just in terms of the environmental surrounding, but also when it comes to making guests feeling welcome? This is an important part of Bali's attraction.
So, like you said, David Bowie in the 70s, I think a lot of people know Bali since, let's say, 40 years, and there is more and more tourists coming every year since that time. what was the challenge, and I think they feel it, is there was a lack of education or hospitality education. A lot of Balinese people were going to the cruise ship and they are still going. So that was the only international exposure. So now the fact that they have a lot of school and also a lot of foreigner coming and opening hospitality business, the locals start to learn how to say host foreigner, because the funny part is, and it's what we like also, the innocence of the locals, is because they don't know what is hospitality there. The fact that they are not exposed, when they offer food in our restaurant, for example, if they offer a steak or they offer one of our dish, they don't know the taste, they don't know the expectation of the foreigner, because they have not been exposed. So now we are exposing, and some of them like it, some of them prefer to stay local, but I think there is more and more, it's all about exposure. There is more and more locals going around and learning and opening their own place, and that's, I think, a very good sign.
But the feedback is that the service in Bali, is it competitive? Is it on par with international standards, with other international tourist destinations?
I would say yes, for a single reason, is a lot of five-star hotel, most of the big brands of five-star hotel are in Bali since few years. So they have been training the people, because the good thing is when we open a place like it's our place, we need to have between 30 to 60% of our workers should be from the surrounding. So that's the way they can be exposed. Of course, if they want to work, but at least the opportunity is given to them to come and learn. And since 20 years, I believe, because of all those brands, the service quality is getting higher and higher. And I think we're quite good compared to many other places. Now the new way to do the business in the crypto world is you need to attach real assets. It can be property or something else. In our side, we are attaching property. And that, I believe, in the next few years, the way we're going to see the crypto world, it will be always with what we call utilities in the real world.
What about the quality or the types of visitors themselves? There's tourists and there are also visitors. But over the years, if we look at Bali, it used to be the playground or the back sort of, garden to Australian surfers, for example, or backpackers, and you have places like Kuta and Legian and Seminyak. But then there are, over the years, things kind of change. Tell me your own impression of how the profile of those who come to Bali have changed, and the things that they're looking for have changed, which means that the services or the facilities that are being offered also need to adapt.
Yeah, the word adapt is the right word. I believe post-COVID is something that the COVID bring things that it would have happened anyway, but it came faster. So now
speeded things up.
Yes, that's the right word. Speeding. It's the speed. So what we can really see now is there is more and more digital nomad and people who wants to work from home. So they knew that. They understood they could work from home.
Anywhere, as long as they have a Wi-Fi connection.
Exactly. So what's going on in Russia, because of the situation with Russia and Ukraine, well, there is two facts. Because of their situation, a lot of them are coming because it's easy for them to come. There is no winter, and because they don't like winter. At the end of the day, they were also already coming before because of the winter. And it's also the fact that they can work, and the many people are coming to Bali and want to use Bali as a home now. Before, we have mainly tourists. They were coming for 1, 2, 3 weeks or few days if they were from Australia.
Or just surfing, and
exactly, that's
having fun on the beach.
And now we see, we really see a switch of people come and they want to stay. And the nationality is quite diverse. It's always been diverse.
Okay, so it's the top 5 nationalities that are now you can find in Bali.
For this year, I would say, because Russian and Ukrainian.
Russian, Ukrainians.
And we still have Australian coming.
Mm-hmm. What about the Chinese? Because at some point we had a lot of Chinese tourists as well. Are they still here?
they cannot come yet because
Because
I
of the COVID, yeah.
they can come, but they have another 10 days of quarantine if they go back. So for Chinese, it's still complicated. And
What about Europeans and Americans? Do they still come here?
they are still come here, but I think it's very stable compared to
the
before.
Russians and the
Yeah. When the surge is, and Middle Eastern, and we see also a lot of Middle Eastern.
Middle Easterns?
Yes.
And they digital nomads, or are they tourists?
They are tourists because some of the flights, compared to before, not all the flights are coming to Bali yet, and most of the direct flights can be from Dubai or from Abu Dhabi. So for them, it's quite easy to come. So that's why I think we see them coming.
So are flights becoming going back to normal now? Do we see more frequency in flights coming from all over the world, or would you like to see sort of more direct connections to the European hubs? Or
We would need more flights, that's for sure. Because of the G20 was a very good thing for us because they had to bring a lot of new flights to welcome all the people. So I think it speed up the process, but we still need more flights if we want to attract more foreigners from Europe or America.
Okay. Now, going back to the types of visitors, I hesitate to say tourists because you said they're digital nomads. Give me another profile. Because how many Russians and Ukrainians, off the top of your head, are currently in Bali?
Wow, this number.
I mean, is this in the thousands?
1,000 for sure, 100,000. No, there are a lot and they are coming,
Okay,
but I don't have the number.
So what sort of profile? Because they also come here, like you said, to do business, and what are they like? What sort of business, and how do they actually take advantage of Bali, and how long do they normally stay?
So compared to before, because a lot of Eastern Europeans were coming before, but it was mainly to spend the winter. So they were escaping.
To get away, yeah.
Yes, it was a getaway. So
it's a very limited time.
It was a limited time, and they were not looking for investment or for, some of them, but all working here. Now we have a different profile because we have people who are moving to Bali. So yes, you're right, what they are doing, they are coming and they are looking what they can do. So property is their first choice because it's something, even though they don't know the Bali property, in the mindset of everybody, property is always the safest way to put their money. So they are.
And it's easy now for foreigners to at least have access or to have lease of property or to buy property. How does that work?
So as a foreigner, we cannot own a land. But there is a way to do it is by leasing the land, like in many countries anyway. Even in England, I think it's 99 years. So the people, it's quite easy because it has been done since 30 years. There is a professional company like ours doing that. So it's not so complicated as a foreigner to come and acquire a
It's not
property.
complicated.
It's not it is complicated, but the work is done by the notary or by the agent. The customer doesn't see what he has to do. He's just paying and sign. And the property will belong to him for a certain amount of time. So it's not so complicated
that it turns people off. So it's quite attractive for investors to come and do business in Bali because it's not that complicated.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
No, it is because it doesn't require special paperwork. The KYC is still low in Bali. So no, it's not so complicated. We just need, as a customer, they just need to analyze what kind of investment they are looking for. And because there is more and more people coming to Bali now, the price of the property are coming up. And coming back to the people who are coming and settling now here, they all jump on this property business thinking that they can sell and invest with their own friend. So basically, the first one who are coming, they buy a piece of land, they decide to build something, and they sell the other property to their friend. That's the way they step inside the business right now.
Is it a good business? Is it a working business model?
It's what I did. But I think a lot of people, it's interesting because in Indonesia, I always use this example. Everything seems so easy, because people are nice, people are very helpful. And a lot of our customers, sometimes they tell me a story. I found a land from my taxi driver, his cousin is selling, it's a very good land. And I always think, but would you do that in your country? Would you go in France or in Italy, ask the taxi driver for you a land somewhere else in the village, saying his cousin is selling it? I mean, here it seems like everything become more easy. Unfortunately, a lot of due diligence needs to be done, and I think when you want to do investments anywhere, but especially in Bali, better you do it with a professional, that at least you avoid surprises, and sometimes you also it can be even more profitable because a professional will explain you how to make it more profitable.
And the fact that they keep coming, the Russians and Ukrainians, and also the fact that you're here and developing. So it's a profitable business, right? Or, I mean, are we talking about, return of interest in short term, long term, or how, what's the profit
So
like in the future?
So the profit in Bali has always been between 8 to 12%. Some people make even 15% a year. Some people can make 6%, but the average is around 10%. Now, for our side, we are also digitalizing some properties. So I was explaining to our previous show that you can get double income from the property itself that you are renting, like the one we are right now, and also from the marketplace online. So you can even double your profit, and it can go up to 30% a year.
So there are new creative ways of increasing your revenue just from the properties. And this is the way that the future property business is going to go, right? Digital, and with digital features.
So that's the route we have chosen, because and especially now when you see all this crypto market going down, which is very, very good for us, because actually there is a switch going on right now. It's before crypto, it was just speculation. Now the new way to do the business in the crypto world is you need to attach real assets. It can be property or something else. In our side, we are attaching property. And that, I believe, in the next few years, the way we're going to see the crypto world, it will be always with what we call utilities in the real world.
So there is an underlying to the, I suppose,
Exactly.
to just speculation like cryptocurrencies.
And I believe the solar is something that really...
Solar panels.
Yes, it should, because it's sunny. I mean, maybe not today, but it's sunny almost all year long, so the sun is free, and I think we should use the solar panel. That's my belief.
Now, locations. Obviously, Bali is a big island, and you have, like here in Ubud, you have the sort of the mountainside, and then you have, the beach, and you have, well, it seems like the places are growing. It used to be Bali, Kuta, and then Legian, Seminyak. But now, give us some, and Ubud. But even now in Ubud, it's spreading, right? Give us some examples of these growth factors, and where do you see the trend, and will it become saturated at some point?
So the trend, it's quite clear. There is three areas that are booming right now. It's Uluwatu, which is the Bukit, is the south of Bali, which was already happening, but now in a year time, it's really booming. The north of Ubud, where we are.
No, so why? Who started it? Who first kind of, said, oh, this is a good perspective?
It's because of the digital nomads. A lot of people come and concentrate. Everything was concentrated in the Canggu area, which it is still right now, but it's start to be spread out because the prices become so expensive, people cannot afford it. The lifestyle is not quite the energy of it. People were looking for new places, so a lot of youngsters, so I would say 22 to 30 years old,
digital nomads.
Those people moved to Uluwatu, and because of them, it's a lot of new restaurants, a new clothing shop. I mean, there is a microeconomy that is happening right now, and more investments are coming. So Uluwatu is really one of the places post-COVID that is really happening. I would say also north of Ubud, where we are in Tegalalang, which is also one of the new places, all this stretch of Ubud, where there's a lot of new property, new restaurants upcoming, because Ubud was, the center of Ubud is already saturated. So a lot of people were moving to one side of Ubud, which is also saturated. So now everybody is coming to this side. And we have the beautiful rice field of Tegalang, which are very famous. So I think also this area is also booming. And the third one will be Sanur. I mentioned about it
But
last
Sanur
time.
has always been, always been there with the old generation expats who, been there for years, and they stay there and they go to bed at 9 o'clock at night.
So there's a new generation coming, and a lot of people from Jakarta, actually, the domestic, the young successful domestic, are moving to Sanur. Because everything is there, everything is there. And what I foreseen is because of the hospital, there is a big medical center which is under construction. Jokowi came this year to do the inauguration. I think this will drive a lot of new kind of tourism, the medical tourism, and because of this also it will be a hot spot by itself, because people will come and stay there for a while for their medical reason.
Tell me about Canggu, because I actually went there and I was actually so surprised. I mean, it's completely full and full of young people, Ukrainians or Russians. What happened there? And then with this, the Cangguification of the rest of the part of that coast in Bali, is this something that is going to happen? Because it's just like it's phenomenal there. And why and how did it start? I mean,
Canggu was, I mean, it's just, Seminyak was already overpopulated and there was no more space, so everything moved to Canggu, and it was quite cheaper. Like 5-6 years ago, the people couldn't afford Seminyak anymore, so they moved to Canggu. And what happened is a lot of people during the COVID were living in Canggu, and the young people. A lot of shop, and it's a very cool place. It's even, I think, one of the most famous hipster place in the world. So people can come, have a
good nightlife on the beach. It's a bit like Ibiza, it's party.
It went even too wild, because the government took some measure to
contain things a bit,
because it was going out of control, which I think they did a good move. So a lot of people moved to Canggu, and now it's moving also to the north of Canggu, because Canggu becomes so expensive. So everything is coming until Tabanan. So we have the new upcoming places, which is Sese, Cemagi, and Nyani. So Nyani, there will be a massive project done by Russian. That will be it will be a village by itself. It's like 55 hectares. They are doing something massive.
And in terms of property prices, since you came here 14 years ago and until now, how many times do you think the cost of land has increased?
It will depend on the area, but I would say at least 10 times. But I know some area it went until 50 times. So at the end of the day, it's an island. I always think, I mean, as a real estate agent,
at some point it's going to
it's
be full.
Exactly.
Do you feel that it's getting a little bit too full? Which point and when do you think Bali would be completely saturated by all this development and,
To be fair, I don't think it will be full. The problem of Bali is too concentrated. It's not full, because Bali is big and there's a lot of still empty area which we can do a lot of nice development. But the problem is the concentration. And beside the concentration, the infrastructure doesn't support all those developments. Water, we have a problem with water, we have a problem with electricity, we have a problem with the trash. And not because the government is not doing a good job, it's because it's going too fast, and everybody needs to keep up. So it's more about the concentration. But Bali is going definitely to the north, because everything was concentrated to the south for one reason. It's beautiful, it's a surfing spot, and it's close to the airport. But now, since it's already full, like we are saying, everything is stretching out, but always along the coast.
Okay, when things grow, I mean, when things don't grow, it's a worry, right? But when things grow and grow too fast, there's another worry. And the whole point of coming to Bali is you want to, get in touch with, nature, enjoy, relax, and not be stuck in the traffic and stressed out about, parking places and so on, and be, assaulted by a lot of pollution. What are your main worries? Because this can affect the quality of the experience that, now you have experiential travelers looking for these experiences. What are your main kind of things that you need to watch out for as a developer who wants to have sustainability?
You pointed out the main issue of Bali is the traffic. Because, again, everything is concentrated. So when you move, sometimes when you want to move from one area to which is very close, it takes a lot of time because everybody is there at the same time. But if you want to go to another area where there is nobody, it's much faster. So really what can spoil, not spoil, what can cut the experience
Yeah.
of the
It's off-putting, isn't it? It's
yes,
like, no, I don't need this. You know.
it's the traffic jam. So it's all about infrastructure and eventually public transportation. But I think it's going to be very difficult. It's more about how to play with or using more how to say the drive. Not it's very difficult to talk for the because it's very infrastructural. So
But what about things like keeping the environment clean and, you know, all these, because if I'm not mistaken, Bali is going to be sort of a showcase for net zero emission by 2040 or something like that. I mean, is this something that developers are concerned with, making sure that everything complies, and not only that, but be, you know, the catalyst or the initiator for everything that's green and environmentally friendly? Is this something that's on top of your mind when you develop your property?
In my side, yes, because the property we are developing we are always trying to create an experience, and we believe that the experience is done in the property, but within what is around. So everything should be quite integrated in the nature. But that's the way I look at it. The way it will be done for the other developer, it will be they need to comply with the law. They just need to create laws that's saying that you need to use a certain solar panel, or they need to create laws that will be helpful for the environment, and we just follow like we have in Europe today. In Europe, your house cannot give so much carbon, or there's a lot of isolation. Right now in Indonesia, I'm talking about
everything
Bali,
has to be green, and
it's going there, and I think it will go there. There's no other choices anyway, so we will just need to follow what the government suggests us to do. And I believe the solar is something that really
solar panels.
Yes, it should, because it's sunny. Maybe not today, but it's sunny almost all year long, so the sun is free, and I think we should use the solar panel. That's my belief.
Yeah, and is this something that the government, you think, is doing quite well when it comes to, or do you feel that at some point growth is just going to be too much, or is it still now manageable?
I think from my experience with the government here, they always manage somehow. At the end of the day, sometimes we will think, oh, they are not doing it, and suddenly they are doing it. So in my 14 years in Indonesia, I always see the government doing the right things at the end. So sometimes it's like every government will say, oh, they should do this, they should do that, and at the end of the day, they are going to do something that match with the environment. Right now, there is no standard. So if they want to do this Bali zero emission, they will need to put standard for us to not making emission. So I believe it's already on their chart somewhere, and they will come up with a regulation that we will comply. And as soon as we comply, there won't be emission. What I believe, what is good for the locals, is the exposure and the fact that they can absorb a lot of different culture and different way to work, and they can grow their own business or hospitality by absorbing the things from everybody. That's what I think.
Alban, the G20, this is the time when Indonesia is showcasing itself to the world. Are you excited? How are you capitalizing on this event, and also, can you actually feel it impacting not just tourism, but just the economy in Bali?
Yeah, I think it really helped since few months. We have a lot of delegation who came. There's a lot of foreigner who came. So we are the second. We are not in Nusa Dua. So Nusa Dua feel the.
Oh yeah, it's just there. It's just
they
like
feel it because everybody is there. So that's they are the front line, let's say. Where we are now, we're gonna feel the side effect because a lot of people came, and the fact that they are coming from far, a lot of delegation, they take the advantage to stay in Bali, to explore, to talk to their friends, and it's a good population where the people who are coming for G20, they are high population. I mean, I don't have the word, but it's a population
Yeah,
that
it's it's a majority of, we have all the big countries here, India, China, the United States, all of Europe, Indonesia,
it's the big exposure.
Turkey even, so this is the world's biggest population there coming here. But now in Bali, it's just so many different things to choose from. One, are they really all, something that we need in Bali? I mean, because when COVID was here, a lot of these places, hotels are completely shut down, but the villas are also empty. But, in the future, what are all these properties going to look like, and how do people make their choices on the kind of, not only the properties that they want to develop, but where they want to stay? Because, you see hotels competing with private villas, for example, or with, resorts. And what are your thoughts?
So for our side, we are a hybrid property because we are like a hotel, but also an eco-friendly resort in the nature. We have also a glamping tent, so you are really inside the jungle. And what I see in Bali, there's a lot of new eco-friendly resorts. So it's a trend, that's the fact that you go in the nature, but I believe it's also the future. So I see myself in 2 or 3 years, a lot of eco-friendly places popping up. And it matches also with the new generation coming to Bali and want to experience Bali, the real, what we call the real Bali, that being in the nature, going to the ceremony, visiting the temple. And what Bali offers is, we talked about Canggu before, is you have all this spiritual aspect, but you can also party and having amazing food. So Bali is very diverse, and I think that's also why it's so popular among the young people, because it offers so much the space is quite small, and the diversity of the population coming to Bali make all those hotels working, because some people, they prefer to stay in a big hotel and a big chain, because they will feel more safe, or they will not take any risk of what kind of service or love or cleanness or whatsoever. And some people are more adventurous, and they will go to the new kind of resort, and they want to be inside the nature. So I think Bali is a good mix of all of this, and so far it's working very well.
Okay. Is there a big difference you see between domestic tourists coming to Bali and how they spend their time, where they stay, and how much money they spend, and then some of the international tourists? And when we talk about international tourists, are there also differences in, tourist habits that they adopt, which maybe you can share with us? I know maybe some of them is like, it's a stereotypical, the Japanese tourists, they like this, or French tourists or American tourists. But can you see that in Bali? For example, the domestic tourists. I mean, how many days do they normally spend in Bali, and what do they do, and what are they looking for?
So the domestic tourists are, of course, the majority, because I think they represent at least 50% of the tourism right now. And for our side, again, because we are offering villas, we have a lot of families. So when they come for holiday, instead of to stay in the hotel, because we're offering 2, 3, 4, 5 bedroom, they can all come in the same place and spend their holiday here. So that's from our side. But at the end of the day, there's also the couple tourists, and it can be domestic or foreigner, and they might.
And there's a lot of weddings here, and honeymoon packages and stuff like that. Is this still?
I think, from what I know, what I see, before there was a lot, and because of the COVID, nobody could book any wedding, any venue. So I don't see it yet this year, because it's not in. Bali is open in 6 months, and a wedding, a marriage takes a year to.
But it used to be,
It used to be, and it will come. It will come back. I believe they are starting to book. They start to book 2-3 months ago, but it's going to be for next year. So Bali will come back again like a wedding destination, because again, all those hotels offer very beautiful accommodation. It's quite cheap. The service is very good. So, and it's very beautiful.
But in general, who are the highest spenders? Well, the visitors that come to Bali.
I would say the domestic, the Indonesian are the one who spend the most, and we have, from our side, we have the Middle Eastern and Russian, more than Europe. It's funny enough, they spend more than European or American.
Okay, tourism is a very important industry in Indonesia. It contributes to a large section of our GDP, and obviously it's in the government's and in everybody's interest to make sure that the number keeps going up. But of course, what's equally important is the impact of tourism itself, particularly not just on the local economy, but on the local people and the culture. What do you think that, what are the Balinese getting out of this?
What I was mentioning before, I think is the education from the hospitality business, if they are interested from the hospitality. But also my personal opinion and belief is an island needs to live from tourism, because they're not so much, like I was saying from the previous interview, is there is no heavy industry in the island. Most of the island are living either from fishing or harvesting or tourism. There's not another economy growing in the island. So what I believe, what is good for the locals is the exposure and the fact that they can absorb a lot of different culture and different way to work, and they can grow their own business or hospitality by absorbing the things from everybody. That's what I think.
So do you think that it's also to the benefit, for the benefits of the local Balinese? You use a lot of Balinese as your staff and your employees?
So interesting enough, I think we are one of the only group that we might have even Balinese over foreigner in our hierarchy, because most of the group, they always have a foreigner at the top and the Indonesian, the locals at the bottom. In our side is we really want, it's also my perspective is we want, because we are I'm not a local, so I don't feel how to say, logical that I will run a place because I'm not from here, so it should be a local. So in our side, the GM is a Balinese, not even a local. Our chef, every component of our resort is all managed and direct by local. And I would keep this way because I think they are the one who should run the show, and after, if they're interested, they can do their own. I would be very happy for them if they decide one day to open their own place, and we will definitely support them.
But in a trend where people don't come just for a few days or for a weekend or just for the summer to get away from winter, but they're actually staying here for a long time, and and in large numbers. Well, isn't there some kind of like a hazard to it? For example, when you have all these, too many, that might erode some of the cultural, or maybe not erode, but maybe impact. I wouldn't say negatively or positively, but there's some kind of impact. Are these something that you would find concerning? Is that, I don't want to go to Bali because it's just too many foreigners there? I mean, is this something that is a worry, and will it affect your... Because the things, trends happen, you go, I'm not going to go there, it's full of this and full of that, Is this something that's...
So it's
I feel like that when I go to Canggu, and I'm not going to go there. It's like, well, too many, party people, or just too much it, whatever.
So don't go to Canggu.
Yeah, well, exactly, but ideally.
That's a philosophical question. What is the impact of a foreigner in a local population, not only in Bali, everywhere? Do we bring something as a foreigner or not? It's difficult to say what we bring or what we take. But really I make a joke, but it's true. I personally believe also there's some places that overpopulated and too much foreigner. We don't feel in Bali anymore. Really, at certain places you...
But it used to be like, for example, in Kuta. I don't want to go to Kuta because it's full of, surfers or whatever.
We're not
it's not like that.
Yes. But you just don't go to this area. So that's the beauty of Bali. Is it offers so much diversity that there's a lot of different areas. We only mentioned the booming area, but there's also Ahmed, Chandidasa, there's the north, Lovina, there is also the old Bedugul, there's a nice golf. So there is a lot of diversity. So I really feel the same, that even I'm a foreigner, I didn't come to Indonesia to be again with all the French people. So if you want to be local, you just select the area, and there's a lot of beautiful places with a lot of locals. And the good thing is the service is even better because they have most of those locals actually were working to the nice five-star hotel, and now they open their old places, and it's very local and very beautiful and peaceful.
So there's still plenty of room to grow in Bali, in your eyes, Alban? Or
In my eyes, it's, I would say, a big yes, as long as it's managed in a way that is the concentration is not so, they don't continue to concentrate so much. As long as they spread it out, which they are trying. They wanted to make an airport in the north. There's a lot of upcoming village that the people start already to move somewhere, and there's, like for example in Tabanan, there's a youngster doing a very nice, they are doing like a resort, eco-friendly, artistic. So it's going here and there, and I think there is still a room for improvement and development. We are launching there's a lot of new things going on with all this digitalization, and I believe that we're going to be like one of the first one doing proof of concept of the next way to buy businesses and property. It's going to be amazing.
what about the islands nearby Bali, obviously? Is this something that developers, the business owners are now looking at? Of course, when we look at Lombok, for example, or Nusa Tenggara Barat, with the Mandalika and the circuit. I mean, are things beginning to sort of move outside of the Bali sphere? Because just Bali, it's just so, like I said, everybody knows, and it's full and saturated. Is this something that is of interest to developers?
So myself, as a developer, we are also we will be starting a new development in Nusa Ceningan, which is an island very close by. So I can talk about it because I know what's going on there. So basically, there is few islands working very well. When the people coming to Bali, there is some places it's a must visit. So for the young people, they go to Gili Island. There is three the Gilis. So those people still go there because it's fun. There is no cars. It's like a Robinson Crusoe experience. But it's 2.5 hour boat. It's a half-day journey. Now we have also this island, which is quite famous, is Nusa Penida, because everybody takes the same picture. Instagram made this island so famous that we see like a rock at the background. And this island is only at 25 minutes. We take 25 minutes to go there. So now there's also this island is Nusa Ceningan and Nusa Lembongan. This is those three islands which also are getting quite popular because it's very close to go, it's cheaper, and the weather actually is also very nice. It's sunny most of the time, and the beach are very, very nice. So there is a lot of development happening there, and I think for the next 3-4 years it's going to be something to watch.
So foreign investors are particularly excited about all these new developments. Are more and more people like you looking beyond Bali to the other islands, for their investment?
For the investment point of view, yes. Because the problem of certain area in Bali, the prices are so expensive that your ROI it's become very, very low. So we are all looking for new space and where we can get a good ROI, and also that we can offer a new kind of accommodation, because I personally believe that the development should always be integrated in nature and should offer an experience to the customer. That's the way we are doing.
Okay, I remember I've been to Bhutan, and the way they do it is they kind of limit the number of tourists coming into the country by having like a minimum amount of spending, and that attracts quality visitors as opposed to the backpackers or the mass tourism. Is this something that Bali can actually implement at some point, or?
That's an interesting question. I don't think they can do that, but again, my belief. But first of all, the prices. I mean, I see some of my friends that I didn't see since few years, and they all say the prices went crazy. So it's already, Bali become quite expensive.
So it's already
compared
expensive.
Compared to before. So organically, there will be less low spending people coming. That's one. Second is what I read. I don't know where it is, at which stage of the signature of the regulation, but I read that they want to create a new visa that you can get a visa for 10 years if you can put a certain amount in your
Yes,
bank
that's
account.
right, yeah.
So it goes to what you just said, which I think is very smart. So that's one good way if you want to attract certain kind of people. That's a good way. It's unfortunate for certain people that cannot afford it, but it all depends the politics of the country. But doing this, we do a limitation, and it can be a way.
Yeah, and it can also be a way to mitigate overcrowding and, you know, all the negative impacts that mass tourism brings, which is, you know, at the end of the day, it's not sustainable because people don't want to go to where everybody goes. Finally, I know that things are looking up, you know, with the COVID. Hopefully we're not going to have a pandemic. You know, we may have other things, but let's not have a pandemic. And the G20 puts Indonesia, not just Bali, on the map, so more and more people will come to Indonesia. But things are not looking good. You know, there's a big global economic crisis at the moment, war in the Ukraine, and energy prices going up, and maybe, you know, people don't have enough money now to travel. Are you wary of the future? What would be your biggest kind of concern with what's happening now in Europe and the rest of the world?
Look,
we don't feel it so much in Indonesia. We're always happy here.
To be fair,
will it impact us, basically?
it will impact us, but I think in a good way, because it will just bring more people here for the reason that you just said. It's always, we all smile, and I mean, we are far from all those problems in a way. Indonesia has always been stable. Since when I'm here, I never see any big crises. Politically, it's very stable. The president is doing a great job being neutral in a way. So Bali is a very safe place, I guess. It's a very safe place to come and invest. And I think more and more people are aware of it. And if there is a big crisis, my belief is a lot of people will come and start to explore. And we are launching there's a lot of new things going on with all this digitalization. And I believe that we're going to be like one of the first one doing proof of concept of the next way to buy businesses and property. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and if this war in the Ukraine continues, we'll probably see more Russians, you know, packing their bags and coming to this part of the world.
I mean, it's not a wish for them. I just hope if everybody can live in their country peacefully, it will be much better. But if the situation is getting worse for them, probably there will be more and more Russian coming.
But is awareness about Indonesia increasing? What about your friends in Europe? Do they know where Indonesia is? What do you tell them about? You know, and you know, you obviously want them to come and stay here or visit. Are they convinced? Are they excited? Or how difficult is it to get them to come over?
It's not difficult at all, because Bali became the last 2 or 3 years one of the the hottest spots for Instagram. So people come here. Every single traveler is a media platform by itself right now, and because of this Instagram and TikTok, how to say?
Yeah, you know, the social media. So you use them to promote. Very effective?
It's very, very effective. And as I said, it's not even we use it, it's every traveler using it. And because they see their friend coming here, it's like a snowball. And Bali is really, it's a very big snowball, because if I'm not wrong, it might be one of the world which is the typers the most on Instagram. So
you're optimistic?
Tag, sorry, not more. Tag, yes, we are very optimistic, because at the end of the day, I'm living here since 14 years. It's a beautiful place. People are very nice. There is still a lot of place to grow. There's a lot of things to do. So yeah, I'm personally really
This is going to be your home.
It is already my home. It is already my home.
Okay, Alban, thank you so much, and it's great talking to you. And absolutely beautiful here. I mean, we had the rain, but now it's sunny. But it is an island of the gods, you know, this is paradise here, isn't it? And of course, every time that Indonesia, we want to showcase something, we do want to get people to come to Bali, but then, you know, other places are opening up, which is just as, hopefully, can catch up to the standard and the quality of Bali. There are 17,000 islands in Indonesia, and this is a really good opportunity for, you know, foreign investors to come here and start, you know, taking advantage. Okay, Alban, thank you so much. Ya, demikian Insight with Desi Anwar kali ini. Terima kasih atas perhatian Anda. Jangan lupa Anda juga dapat menyaksikan acara ini di cnnindonesia.com dan di YouTube CNN Indonesia Insight with Desi Anwar. Take care, sampai jumpa. Bye-bye.